So over the past couple of months, we've been busy on the channel with creating the mini fabrication desk setup build. This is basically a series where I try to create the most optimized workbench style situation for my type of builds. At the moment, there's a 3D printer and a laser cutter on there, but I'd also like to add a CNC machine and a fiber lasered top segment. In this episode though, we're mainly focusing on some additional tools that I'd like to put into 3D printed inserts in the sides. It's really accommodating for future proofing as well. Like if you get a new tool, you can create a new 3D printed insert and bolt that one into place. And there's a ton of room on this build because there's a lot of 3D printed inserts available. This video is sponsored by Prusa. So there's definitely some viewers on the channel who just enjoy watching me putting stuff in their place, and there's also some people who enjoy the more creative projects. This one, it's pretty simple. It's the stuff that we usually do on the channel. I take these tools, the hammer and the right angle to the 3D scanning station, get that into the CAD and then start modeling out a nice little panel to put these into the place. And I'd like this workbench to be a nice centralized spot for all of my tools in this workplace so that I actually know where stuff is, and that's what it's been over the past couple of months as well, where if I've been looking for a tool, usually it's on this bench. There are still a couple of things that I wish I had considered in the design phase though, like the addition of a vise of some sorts. That would be really helpful for some of these projects, but it's mainly also a digital platform for all of the laser cutters and 3D printers and that kind of stuff. So we'll have to see if we can maybe add a vise somehow later down the line. So Prusa actually reached out a little while back and offered to send me a Prusa Core One. I'd never worked with them before, so I was really curious to see how good their machines were, because I had heard from other YouTubers that their machines are really quite good. And it's a pretty neat machine because it uses 3D printed components to actually complete the entire build. They sent me the assembled version, but you can also buy one which you have to assemble yourself. And in terms of build quality, it is also really quite unique because they use those 3D printed components to complete the build. And so at first glance, it feels a little bit cheaper than some other machines, but it's actually really quite solid. And I really like that they did that because 3D printed components are very usable in functional applications as well. And I think that's something that people often forget when they get a 3D printer. And this one fits the setup really nicely as well, which is why I'm putting it in here, because it has those orange accents and that matches nicely with the X2S One, which is next to it. Now we'll have to see how it 3D prints to see if we actually implement it onto the setup full time, but I'm pretty sure this thing is going to be awesome. The Core One actually has this satin build sheet on there, which is really neat because it leaves a very smooth surface on the 3D print itself, instead of the textured build bits that I usually use. So it's a little bit different from the other 3D prints that I have on this desk, but the overall quality of it is really quite awesome. And the 3D printer performed really nicely as well. Didn't really have to check up on it, so it's pretty reliable. After that, I bolted those into place, and the hammer and the right angle drops in. It's a pretty snug fit, but the hammer is really loose in there, so I don't really like that. The next thing I wanted to implement is the Google Home. So this is a Google Home Mini, I believe, and it's quite useful if you have both your hands full, but you still need to ask a question like what is 72 divided by 3, and you just need to check up to see if your answer in your head is correct or not. So I've actually implemented a Google Home into a workbench before, and that worked out quite nicely for quite some time. At that time, I really wanted to see a large language model like ChatGPT be implemented into one of these things, because you can ask more complex questions about a project that you're doing and get some useful answers out of that as well. The Google Home as it is right now doesn't really do that. So the Core One actually really surprised me in terms of its print quality, and it also has a very nice thermal stability, which makes it a lot better for ABS printing and PC printing and that kind of stuff. So a really neat machine and very well optimized. There's a lot of parts on this machine which seem very custom and seem very well thought through. And Prusa also offers a variety of 3D print filaments. This is the Galaxy Black in PLA, which turned out really neat. It has a couple of little specs in there, especially with the satin build plate. The 3D prints come out looking really awesome. Next thing is the air quality monitor. This one's actually very useful for any kind of DIY project. So you can check up on the air quality in your home if you're, for example, painting stuff, or if you're 3D printing stuff in ABS. And you just need to know if it's safe to breathe stuff or if you need to wear a mask or not. It's not really useful for on the setup itself, but it needs to have a little spot so I can always find it. So if you enjoyed the video so far, then definitely consider leaving a like, leaving a comment, and subscribing to the channel. If you don't subscribe, you might never see another one of my build videos because it doesn't end up in your suggested feed and you might miss it. I've actually been considering making a woodworking version of this workbench with you know, the Bosch drill press and all of my Bosch tools in there, with like drawers that you can take out and take with you, with the tools in there, and it has a little 3-prong power plug on there, so that you can always put them in the desk still, but then, yeah, take them onto location as well. One of the last things we're integrating is this ratchet. I've had this one for a little bit. It's a very cheap one that I bought from the Action here in the Netherlands, but I've been using it more and more lately with M10 bolts, you know, building setups. So I'd like to give it a spot at the side of the setup. So I saw this comment recently asking about the future of the channel, where it's going, what we're doing, and why we're busy with these types of setup builds. So I've done some more niche and creative projects in the past as well. The overall goal is at the moment to get this studio up and running to where it's really easy to creatively act on the ideas that I have. My crux is that I want to film it very cinematically as well, so it takes a little longer to do. But in general, I really appreciate the support on the channel as well, and I'm always really open to fun ideas and suggestions in the comment section. So if you have specific materials that you've worked with in the past, definitely let me know down below as well. If you're interested in the designs, then you can check out my Patreon page. I'll upload all of the designs that I've made in this video over there as well, as I do with pretty much every single project. Now, in this video, I didn't do too good of a job on the designs yet, but it's nice to have access to it so that if you're building something similar, you can maybe modify it. Also really supports the channel, so all of the proceeds go directly back into the channel, and I really appreciate the support over there. So I put together this last panel and I'm not too chuffed with it. It holds the ratchet in place really nicely, but I was hoping that the magnets would do a better job at holding all of those bits, as I'm going to call them. That's not really the case, and I also messed up one of the sizing, so it doesn't really fit in there anymore. In general, I'd like to improve the design in the next version of this, where it's all slanted and they just drop into place and they don't rely on magnets to be held in place, because as soon as you start rolling the setup around, these are going to fall out. So even though progress has been a little slow on this setup series, I've really enjoyed putting stuff in their place and getting the whole thing together. I think this is going to be a really awesome platform for the channel in the future as well. So I'll be concentrating on some more creative projects in the future, so it'll be a little while before we see another update to this one. If you have any tools that you know are missing from the setup, then definitely let me know in the comments down below as well. But that was it for this short little update to the setup series. Hope you enjoyed it, hope it gave you some inspiration, and stay tuned for the next episode.